I feel like this has been one of the dumbest gaming dramas that's happened for a while. It is. Because, like, there's so many different angles to it that are dumb. Like, you really have to sit down in Star Wars. No, I think this is way worse than Star Wars. It's way worse than Star Wars. Because, like, Star Wars, you can't go back and be like, well, historically, there was a girl in this Star Wars, and then, well, this other guy said there wasn't. And it's like this fucking argument about it. No, the Assassin's Creed is way worse.
So we finally know what the official name of Assassin's Creed Red is. This is the Assassin's Creed game that's going to take place in Japan. It is officially called Assassin's Creed Shadows. We got a cinematic trailer, and as you can see from likes to dislikes ratio, there are some aspects of it that people are divided about. So there are 3 videos of this worth watching. There is the world premiere trailer. There is this right here, who are Naoe and Yasuke, the 2 protagonists of this game. Also, likes to dislikes ratio, not great. And we have Assassin's Creed Shadows Explained, which,
this
again,
one's even worse.
likes dislikes ratio-wise. There's certainly quite a bit of division. Let's talk about why these trailers...
You know, like, it's kind of weird to me that, like, nobody actually really, like, people don't really want to, like, figure out what's true or what's not true. They just want to, basically, like, prove that they're right. It's really sad.
Are being negatively received. There's the aspect of the bold choice of one of the protagonists that definitely plays a role. But to me, the greater issue is anti-consumer aspects of how this game is being sold and monetized. I think that to me is what should be the focus. But in terms of what's going on with the protagonist, well, you've got a Japanese woman here, Naoe, who is a shinobi character. And then we got Yasuke here, who is an African man who ended up in Japan, who is a samurai, and he is the other protagonist. And there's arguments as to whether an Assassin's Creed game set in Japan should feature an African character when so many previous Assassin's Creed games feature protagonists who are native to the culture that the game is representing. Now, important to note about Yasuke is that he is a real historical figure. He is someone from Africa. It is believed to be Mozambique specifically, who ended up in Japan and happened to serve under none other than Nobunaga himself as a retainer. But there are arguments as to whether a retainer is technically a samurai, and if Yasuke...
You want to know the real truth is nobody probably knows what happened because it was a long time. It was like 500, 400 years ago, right? So, like, everybody's just arguing about, like, some shit that happened a long time ago. Nobody knows, like, really what this guy did. Like, nobody has any idea. Like, he really was a side character in the story. And so it's not like there's a lot of, like, really detailed accounts of this. There's a few people that wrote a little bit about it. But, like, it's not really, like, narrowed down. It's not like there's a lot of document. There's not pictures of it. There's no videos of it. Like, we're just taking what people said. And so... it's crazy that people get, like... It's like, does it really matter whether he was a samurai or not? In my opinion, not really. That's my opinion. I don't really think so. Because, like, this shit, like, obviously they don't really give a fuck, right? Like, it's literally that simple. Like, they don't really give a fuck. People cared about whether or not he was a samurai 400 years ago, and then they care now. Yeah, nobody gave a shit probably then either. So it's just a game. Yeah, number one, it's just a game. It's like, yeah, they probably did this for, like, a diversity reason. Like, for sure they did. But, like, okay, that doesn't necessarily mean the game is gonna be bad. Yeah, it's important. Like, yeah, that's the reason. Probably that's one of the main reasons. But he was real. He's still real. Like, yeah, it happened. Does it really matter if Jesus was the son of God? I feel like in the lore, it kind of really doesn't, actually. Yeah, like, what really would that change? Like, what would that, like, really change in the lore? Because, like, God could have just got rid of original sin on his own because he's the one that did it. Millions have died for this question. Yeah, a lot of people got killed over this shit. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, you're right. I'd have to really think about it. But anyway, whenever this game comes out, the dude being black or not is not even going to be in its top 10 problems. I guarantee you. I fucking promise you. I promise you. I bet like $1,000 on this. That, like, whenever this game comes out, this is going to be the last thing people are thinking about.
should be represented as a samurai. Now, I'm no historian, so I cannot tell you for sure either way, but plenty of historians or people who know Japanese history seem to insist that being a retainer to Nobunaga does make you a samurai, and that Yasuke did serve in that aspect.
I've read the same thing. It seems like most people that are informed about the topic think that he was somebody of a relative degree of import, and he wasn't just a slave. That's what I've been reading from people. Whether this is true or not, I'm not sure. But this seems to be the kind of the consensus around people that seem to be educated in the topic. But again, like, I don't know anything about it, so I can't really gauge that.
There's also actually a lot of media that have featured Yasuke, like the TV series called Yasuke that is being streamed on Netflix. You got Afro Samurai, which was inspired by Yasuke, even though we also have the well-known series Afro Samurai from Takashi Okazaki, which was inspired by Yasuke. Yasuke has also been featured in a number of video games like Neo, for example. There is this character named the Obsidian Samurai who is very much just Yasuke, and he was made into a character for this game. Yasuke was also made playable in the video game Samurai Warriors 5. Then in the fighting video game Guilty Gear, you've got this character named Nagori Yuki, who very much looks like an African samurai, and he was inspired by Yasuke. So yeah, he's been featured in a lot more media than you might think, especially in Japanese media. There's a list here of some of the work that he's been featured in on Wikipedia.
I think nobody's debating whether the guy's real or not. I think the only people that are concerned about it, that have any opinion, are thinking that, like, it shouldn't be the main character. Like, he should be part of the story, but not, like, the main character piece in the story. For sure. But, like, yeah, I think anybody, like, nobody, I feel like nobody's saying it's fake, right? It clearly happened.
You know, quite the sort of outlier, obviously, in that era of Japan. And Ubisoft decided to lean into that character, make him a...
The reason why not is because basically people say that he did not play an important role in, like, that time period, and he's not representative of the culture. And so that's the reason. Like, I'm not Japanese. I don't give a fuck. Like, it's not my problem. I don't care. But, like, I'm saying, like, that's what they say. You read the Japanese comments. A lot of them aren't Japanese people, by the way. But the people that are saying this. And so, like, if you're Japanese, right, you got to think about it again. Like, Japan is an ethnocentric country, right? Or, like, mono-ethnicity country. Like, pretty much everybody there is Japanese. And so, like, from their perspective, they're going to see this a lot differently. They're going to view it as disrespectful versus, like, what we would think, right? Because in the U.S., it's not a big deal because we got all kinds of fucking people here. But this is in Japan. Homogenous? Yeah, that's the word I was looking for.
Protagonist, and that's an aspect that's causing rifts and divisions among people who believe that, you know, I think both of these characters should have been Japanese or whatever. I personally, to be honest, don't care. I think it's a bold and interesting choice, and whether I like this decision or not will obviously just depend on the execution, what they do with the character. If
you're probably going to be wearing a helmet for most of the game anyway. It's not even going to matter. Like,
make a good story and have good character moments and a good character arc, and it all ties into a good theme, and you know, all of it is combined with good gameplay, and it all just comes together in a package that's just good and tells a good story, and this character feels like, you know, there's purpose to being chosen as the protagonist of this game. Then great. This is different.
I don't know. Like, that's the thing. Is that, like, this is what my take on it. Do you think he was a samurai? If I had to guess, I'd say yeah, probably. Yeah, probably. Like, sure. Right? Why not? I mean, I bet all kinds of crazy shit like that happen. But, like, I don't really know. I'm just guessing. Like, I mean, you guys, like, I don't, like, fuck. If somebody says yes, I say yes, somebody says no, it's like, okay. Do you even know what a samurai is? No, not really. That's why I'm not arguing about this. That's my whole point, right? Is, like, I don't know. Like, that's what I'm trying to get at. Is, like, and also, like, the majority of people that are fighting about it, that have an opinion about it, I guarantee you, they don't know either. They don't really know. I'm not a fucking expert about this. I don't give a fuck whether he was a samurai or not. Like, it's got nothing to do with it. Am I crazy for thinking this? Like, that's not really the point. I know I don't know about this, so move on. Well, like, what I'm saying is that, number one, somebody asked me the question. This a move on, or anybody that ever types move on gets permabanned. I hate move on people. Jesus Christ. So obnoxious. Anyway, I think that the way that they included, like, him and also that girl, I think it was done for, like, a modern, like, social reason. Like, I think that was a deciding factor of that. But I think that, and at the same time, I also think it doesn't matter and it won't affect the game. So, like, it doesn't really make a difference who the main character is if the story is fun. And if the gameplay is good. So there's a lot of games that have like woke elements to them, and they're still fun to play. So it's not like this is a kiss of death. It won't matter. Like whenever the game comes out, this will not matter, guys.
From what I was expecting, but that makes it all the more intriguing. You know, it makes me more curious about what they do with this, and if they can take that thing that is so unexpected and make it into something compelling, then you know, I'm all for that prospect and possibility. In terms of historical accuracy, I don't know. Again, I'm no historian, but also Assassin's Creed isn't really known for its historical accuracy. Like when you think about how Ubisoft utilizes a lot of famous historical figures throughout the Assassin's Creed games, it's kind of nuts and very inaccurate to real world history. Assassin's Creed has always been historical fiction,
I think that a good way to say it is that Assassin's Creed games have historical context, but not historical accuracy. That's probably the best way that I could explain it.
Romanticized, exaggerated, and way out there. So I'll be honest, I don't really look for historical accuracy in an Assassin's Creed game. Like there are historical elements that they try to obviously ground and retain, but in terms of the stuff that happens in between certain key historical beats, Ubisoft just kind of makes it all up, and it's all just fiction and pseudo-history. So I don't know. That's my stance on that. To me, this is not the thing that concerns me in any way, shape, or form. I'll have to wait and see how they execute with these two characters. If you want to know more about the game in terms of the details of its story, setting, gameplay, and open world elements and whatnot, there are two IGN articles covering Assassin's Creed Shadows extensively. This one right here titled Assassin's Creed Shadows Inside Ubisoft's Ambitious Open World Japan. That kind of has
be an open world
this
game.
whole article covering an interview that they did with the developers. And we got this article right here, Assassin's Creed Shadows, 40 details you need to know, that has a bullet list and a really well organized kind of list of information highlighting some of the key learnings that we got from IGN's coverage of this game. So that's there for you to partake in if you so desire. Now let's talk about the thing that I think is much more worth scrutinizing. It's, of course, the numerous editions that they're selling for Assassin's Creed Shadows. We got editions that go all the way up to $130. If this seems familiar to you, that's because they're doing exactly the same thing with Star Wars Outlaws. As for what these editions get you, well, for the standard edition that costs $70, you get the base game.
I don't see how they can sell the game for a 3-day or like it's like the FOMO show. Like, this is nuts, man. And like, also, I want to say that, like, a lot of the hate for the game, I think probably comes from things like this. Because, like, even other Ubisoft games that didn't have any sort of, like, controversial diversity decisions, they also had a lot of dislikes, too. I think that Ubisoft as a company just has a really bad reputation right now because people aren't happy with the way the games are. And they're not happy with the prices of the games either. Why is it controversial? Well, ask the people that are mad about it. Like, it is controversial. Like, everybody knows that it's controversial. Me saying that it's controversial doesn't mean that I agree with every person that's mad about it. But, like, you can acknowledge something. It's like, if I say a house is on fire, that doesn't mean I set the house on fire. I'm just explaining that it is a very controversial decision. There's a lot of fucking people that think it's a problem. I don't care what you think about it. My point is that this is a factor, and because it's a factor, there's people that are mad. But that's not the only factor. The fact is that Ubisoft has been making shit games, I think, for a while. And they're pricing them in ways that are consumer unfriendly. So yes.
And you have to pre-order if you want to get one of the game's missions. As you can see right here, one of the pre-order bonuses is that you get an Assassin's Creed Shadows bonus quest thrown to the dogs. So already we're getting locked content if you don't...
You pay $70 and you don't even get the whole game. That's what it is. You pay $70, you do not get the whole game if you don't buy it pre-order.
Order the game.
Yeah.
before it comes
That's
out.
nuts.
And what's egregious about these pre-orders going up right now is that we still have not seen gameplay.
And there's no reason to have a pre-order, by the way, because like Assassin's Creed, so like the way the game works is that Ubisoft already confirmed this, is that the game will not require you to be online after you've downloaded it. So you do have to obviously have an internet connection to download the game, naturally. And then after you do that, you can actually play the game completely offline. It's a single-player game. So there is really no reason. You can't make an argument for server space for a pre-order, even in this situation. Like, a pre-order creates literally zero value for the customer in any way. That's it. And I think that sucks.
Assassin's Creed Shadows, they've shown off this CGI cinematic, and all of the Assassin's Creed CGI cinematics look great, and they always get you hyped up, but they're seldom representative of actual gameplay. The actual game, for me, always tends to be a little underwhelming and nowhere near as epic and as enticing as the CGI.
Somebody goes, people want to play as a Japanese samurai game that's taking place in Japan. We did not play as an Asian Spartan in Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Chat me up. I'm not going to chat you up. I'm going to read how many times you typed about this. Shall I ban you? Yeah, I'm gonna ban you. I didn't say that you're. I was just scroll up, read some more of his messages. He's annoying. He's gone. He's done. Anyway, so like, yeah, you have every right to have that opinion. Yeah, that's fine. You can have that opinion. Sure. Like, you want to like, I'm not gonna argue with you about that. I think it's totally valid opinion to have. But you're banned because you're annoying.
CGI trailers make them be. So I always wait for gameplay trailers before making decisions or before kind of deciding whether I'm excited for this game or not. To see Ubisoft put up pre-orders for editions that go from $70 to $130 while having showed off zero gameplay, nothing about how the game actually looks and plays, that is already a big red flag. No pun intended. And on top of that, the fact that in order to access another quest that is a part of this season pass, as you can see right here, the Assassin's Creed Shadows season.
So keep in mind what he's saying, right? He's saying that there are two separate things that you have to pay money for, two separate places in order to get the full game. There's the pre-order and a season pass.
Pass includes a bonus quest on day one with additional unlockable content as well as two upcoming expansions. The fact that you have to purchase this $110 edition, that's $40 more than the base game, to gain access to a quest that's ready, that is available on day one, that they are artificially deciding to paywall and lock behind this edition that includes
this is crazy that people are okay with this. I'm so disappointed that gaming has gotten to this point, man. I really am, because like, now you're buying, like, you're not even getting the full game. Like, you're paying a premium price. Like this is a $70 game, and you don't even get the full game. They take there's two things that you don't get, and one of them is just because you didn't pre-order the game. Why? That's so shitty. Like, you don't get a certain type of content in a game because you didn't pre-order? It's awful.
Season pass, that gets the blood boiling.
This is not illegal? It shouldn't be illegal. Why should this be illegal? You know what you're getting whenever you buy it. It's just stupid. Yeah, it's just fucking stupid. You shouldn't buy it.
That is straight up unacceptable, and a practice that Ubisoft is trying to normalize more and more, that I would not like to see normalized. We're not talking about little bits of cosmetics. We're actually talking about gameplay content. We're talking about full quests. And regardless of whether these are substantial quests or insubstantial quests, in both scenarios,
doesn't matter.
It looks bad.
It doesn't matter. And so, like, here's the logic. If they are insubstantial, then the company wouldn't have paywalled them. The company is paywalling them because they think that they have value. So by the fact that the company is putting them behind this wall, it proves that they have value.
Because if these quests are substantial and
Yeah.
give you some good rewards and are actually fun quests, then you're paywalling good content that's
Exactly.
ready for day one behind either paying more money or ordering the game before you really know what the game even is. And if it's insubstantial quests that are not that big of a deal, then you're kind of devaluing the fact that you're paying $40 more for a gold edition of the game. And just on principle, it doesn't matter whether the quests feel substantial or not. It's content that
It's content that was ready on the release of the game, and it is included in the game's code, and it is locked because you did not give them extra money. I don't think that this necessarily should be illegal, but it is extremely consumer unfriendly. It's obnoxious, it's greedy, and it sucks. It's awful.
should be readily available for everyone. If you pay the base price, you should have all of the in-game content available, especially where...
Yeah, if you buy the game, you should be able to experience everything that's in the game. Imagine that. $70. This is a $70 game.
It's concerning gameplay affecting stuff, where it's concerning activities that you do in the game. And then, of course, we've got the 3 days early access that is only included with the $110 and the $130 edition. What this really means is that the only way to play this game on time and not 3 days late is to pay.
I hope that's a... Yeah, I really wish that more people would say what he said there. You're not playing it, like, it comes out the 3 days of the access. You're paying more money to not play it late. It's a matter of vocabulary, you know? Because, like, again, it's not you're not getting early access. You're paying to avoid getting late access.
$40 to $60 more than the $70 base game price. That's, I think, where more of the discussion should be based around, because those are just objectively anti-consumer bad decisions.
They are.
That, if successful, Ubisoft might push more and more, as they've done with other monetization tactics.
And I'm going to let y'all know, like, $70 Hogwarts Legacy pre-order is the limit. This is why every company does it. That's actually a great example. You're totally right about that. Let me see if I can pull this up real quick and show you guys this. Does it show how much? Right here, on this day, I guess, like, can I zoom in right here? This is like a little bit before, right? But you can see it's about 500,000 people. Yeah, it's about 500,000 people. Over 500,000 people paid extra money in order to play this game 3 days early. That is fucking insane. And that's the reason why companies do it. I've got another one for you. So in Lost Ark, let me go back to, like, right here. So this right here was the release, the Steam release. But before then, over, again, 500,000 people pre-ordered this game and gave the company extra money just to play it on time instead of 3 days late. Didn't Starfield do it? Let's find out. I don't remember. Did they or not? Yes, they did. It looks like they did. Starfield sold a quarter of a million, basically, copies. Sorry, no, excuse me. These are concurrent players. So I would assume this is probably like 5 or 10x. This is probably 5 or 10x the amount of people. So they sold probably easily over 1 million copies pre-ordered. Guaranteed sale. Blizzard is doing this too with The War Within. Are they? Where does it say? Where does it say? It doesn't say. Am I not seeing it? Why am I not seeing it? Oh, God. Wait, that's in the big edition? No, I was looking at these. I assume that there's no... So you can... Yeah, guys, the reason I didn't see it is I just assumed that they would be selling it with, like, the middle edition and not the high-end edition. That's the reason why I was confused. No salt? I should get the salt, honestly, for this. I really should get the fucking salt. Final Fantasy 14 is also doing this with Dawn Trail. I'm so sick of dick eaters, man. It's like every game. But I just want y'all to see this. You pre-order the game at no additional cost and you get 3 days access. Wait, hold up. You're saying that this isn't true? Because if it's... Oh, he's a Final Fantasy? Oh, okay. Yeah, for sure. Okay. Yeah. All right, anyway, let's keep going.
Have done with other anti-consumer practices. And you can see that this is becoming a trend for all of their major releases. Here is the chart for Star Wars Outlaws. It's exactly the same scheme. $70, $110, $130. You got the 3 days early access.
Naturally.
You've got a season pass that straight up just locks a quest behind it. The Jabba's Gambit exclusive mission is available at launch for those who spend money to get this edition with the season pass. And then beyond that, with Assassin's Creed Shadows specifically, the $130 Ultimate Edition includes this ultimate pack that is straight up a little bit pay to win because it gives you just 5 skill points.
This is single player game, bro. I might just start playing Honkai Star Rail again. I mean, I might as well. I mean, like, it's just... But, like, the difference is, like, with Honkai Star Rail, it's not $70 to play the game. It's free. You can play the game for free. 5 skill points is nothing? How do you know that? How do you know that 5 skill points is nothing? They played the other games? Okay. So, you're right. I bet they probably aren't that much. I bet it's probably not that big of a deal. Which makes it worse. Because it creates a frame of reference because people that don't know anything about the game will think that this advantage will be big. You see what I'm saying? So, like, we know, 5 skill points, you can get infinite skill points maybe, right? You just get skill points every 10,000 experience or something like that. But, like, for a person who is uninformed or a person who's, like, a dad gamer, he's going to see that and be like, I get something advantage out of this, right? So, that's the reason. It's like, it's like Dragon's Dogma. This is actually, bro, that's exactly it. It's like Dragon's Dogma 2. Because, like, like, if you played the game, like, I put 100 hours in the game. I'm level 100 in the game. I beat the fuck out of that game. And so, I know everything about the fucking game. You don't need to buy a fucking port crystal. You don't have to buy a fairy stone. But, if you don't know a fucking thing about the game, you might think that you do. That's the problem.
On top of all of these, cosmetic elements and bits and pieces of gears and weapon sets and whatnot, you're taking something that could be really exciting for a lot of people and staining it with elements that kind of give the efforts of the developer.
Somebody goes and they say, this is an IQ test? Nah, bro, you're not smart because you played a video game before? You're not smart. No, it's just a matter of somebody who's uninformed about a topic. Stop it, bro.
Unnecessary negative PR that make people question and doubt whether this is a game that they should engage with, whether this is something that they should support. And it sucks because I am rooting for Assassin's Creed Shadows to be good. It's, again,
I'll play this 100%. I'll play it when it comes out. It's not even a question, right? But, like, I want to let you know, like, I'm going to be Jesus on the cross playing this. I'm going to play it so you don't have to. It's like original sin. And so, if you guys want, like, watch me play the game, I will give it a fair fucking shake. Because there ain't no goddamn way they're going to sponsor me after what I've said about the game, right? There's no way. So, like, if you want to find out what the fuck the game is about, watch my fucking stream whenever it comes out, and you're going to know. And it's the same thing with Outlaws. It's going to be the same thing with any of these games. Like, I will eat the shit, and I'll tell you what it tastes like. That's it. I'll do it for you. Like Jesus. Just like Jesus.
Bold what they did by choosing Yasuke as the protagonist, and I think it could potentially be interesting if executed well. I want this to be a big step forward for the Assassin's Creed franchise, which has felt kind of stale, if I'm being honest. I want the open world design to improve. I want the characters here to really shine with the arcs that they go through for this story. I want the assassination gameplay.
This is like a very like kind of disconnected take that I have because I don't really play a lot of this, but like I feel like the old Assassin's Creed games they had grit to them. They had like a certain amount of edginess, And like you see that with like a Black Flag or with the I think his name's Enzio, right? Ezio, I don't know how to say his name. Like they had like that. It was like flamboyant in like a cool way, you know? I don't know, Ezio. Yeah. There is that it. Yeah, I never played, but yeah, great. Like, and this is also like, by the way, this is my opinion as somebody who's like, obviously, I don't know a lot about it. This is a vibe check for me. It's a vibe check. That's all.
To feel as good as it did in some of the older Assassin's Creed games and make me feel powerful as an assassin. And I also hope that the warrior samurai gameplay offers a combat system that is in line with some of the more renowned open world action adventure games.
I actually like, bro, whenever I saw is it Yasuke or Yasuke? I don't know. Whenever I saw him with the fucking this two-handed mace, Yasuke, that's it? This two-handed fucking mace just clobbering two samurais? To be honest with you, like, that was probably, like, my favorite part of the fucking trailer. That sold me on the game. I was like, I'll try this. This is fucking funny.
Wish this game the best, and I hope that it dispels how kind of burnt out I've become about Assassin's Creed games. Having the Japanese setting that's been so requested for so long, that alone I think is going to get a lot of people excited and curious about this game. And I just need to see gameplay first before I decide whether I'm excited about this or not. But man, these kinds of monetization tactics, on top of the fact that Assassin's Creed Shadows is yet another major AAA release that requires an online connection if you want to install the game, even if you own the physical edition, even if you own the disc, you need to download a patch that essentially activates the game for the game to be playable. And so that means that ways in the future, if servers are deactivated, and you want to feel secure about you owning the physical copy, it doesn't really serve you much because every time you install the game and you want to reinstall it, you need to download that patch that may become...
Brings up a good point. He does. He brings up a very good point about this. He's right. I never thought about it like this, but no, he brings up a very good point.
Unavailable if servers go down. So in terms of game preservation, that defeats the whole purpose of you owning a physical edition that's supposed to give you some security about a product that you hope will be preserved for the long term. Now, Ubisoft had to clarify that the game does not require a persistent online connection for you to play. It's just that you do need that one-time online connection to install the game and install that patch that enables the game, whether it's the digital or physical edition. But it doesn't change the fact that this trend sucks. Star Wars Outlaws is doing the same thing.
I do think that like this is something maybe that shouldn't be legal. Because I don't know. I'd really have to think about it, but I actually see this as being a legitimate problem. I'd really have to think about this in like a few different ways. Accessibility, yeah. Because like you're buying something that you don't technically have, and you're buying it with the assumption that you do have it, and you will not have it. It's a difficult question to answer. Yeah, I actually find this to be much more problematic. Like on like a, you know, like I think like in terms of like regulation, right? I think this is a lot worse than like an expensive game. Like in general, like this is like just kind of like a what do you call it? Like a principle is that I think that if something is a bad deal, it's okay, but if something is a deceptive deal, it's not okay. Like, I think that if a consumer should be able to consent to any bad transaction they want, but they should not consent to a transaction on the pretense that they believe it's something else. That's
even
generally
the
how I
physical
make
edition
decisions.
will require an online connection to install, and Ubisoft also did exactly the same thing with their last major release, Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora. And it's just like all these little things that keep adding up and piling up that they're making mandatory for every major AAA release that I want to be excited for, but then Ubisoft comes in with their corporate shenanigans that just makes me feel more apprehensive about...
I feel like what happens is like, you know what? I bet Assassin's Creed Shadows, this new game, right? I bet it took over $100 million to make. I bet it was a massive fucking 9-figure deal. And you know what? If you do that, you have to sell so many fucking copies, and it has to be so successful that you need to water down the game and you need to monetize it in ways that are unhealthy for the game. And that's the problem that I think gaming has right now. That's why you see AA games and even indie games outperforming AAA games, especially in terms of profit. Look at Palworld, for example. So And that's only one of them, right? Bro, Assassin's Creed Valhalla cost over $500 million. Yeah, there you go, right? And like inflation, so it's probably going to be even more. So a lot of people, meanwhile, crab souls exist. Yeah, exactly. Like, and you think that, and then you go and you look at, like, let me see here. Just one sec, guys. Sorry about this. I want to show an example here. So this game here, Another Crab's Treasure, straight up was made by either 13 or 11 people. This was fucking insane. This game is so good. This game is amazing. It had no right to be this good. But there it is. It blew my mind. Yeah, it was insane. Like that last boss fight was like, what the fuck? And so anyway, I think the problem is like this business model isn't sustainable. It's not sustainable because it is directly hostile to the customer. Like, they think they're doing us a favor and they're making what we want. But the problem is that in doing so, they have to create it into something that we don't want. But the problem that I have with this, though, and this is what my concern is that whenever I say we, who am I really saying whenever I'm saying we? The people watching this video, the people watching the stream, like the people that are watching, on Twitter. Like, we is not a big number. And so that's why I think they keep doing it. It sucks, man. It really does.
Supporting their games and their practices, even though I know the developers are putting their hearts and souls into these games and trying to make them as good as possible within the time frame and environment that they're being given. And I'm rooting for these games to be good and to push Ubisoft game design forward. But it's hard to become excited about each major release and not be cautious about them when Ubisoft is always pulling this kind of stuff that gives unnecessary negative PR that just feels really petty when they could just be releasing awesome AAA games without all these like really shitty caveats. And so
I think that they have. That's the thing is, I think that they have to. I feel like if we looked at what their balance sheet is, we looked at their accounting and their numbers, I bet that we would probably come to the same conclusion that they did. I bet they would probably say, we have to do this or we can't make a profit. That's what's bad. And again, if that's the case, then you have a problem with your system.
Creed Shadows going down that path of including some of those anti-consumer elements that people have already complained about with Star Wars Outlaws and with Avatar Frontiers of Pandora. Mm-hmm. That's also a big part of why these trailers are getting disliked. People in general are just not being very receptive to Ubisoft shenanigans, and it's sort of a form of protest and sending a message that Ubisoft needs to chill out. But in terms of how Assassin's Creed Shadows will turn out, whether it's an Assassin's Creed game that will reignite my passion for the series, whether it's going to be a big step forward for the franchise and IP and all these things, that remains to be seen. I'm not going to judge anything until I see gameplay and get my hands on the game, and I hope that their choice of protagonists ultimately pans out and that they tell a good story with them and there's like good purpose and intention behind these choices, and that they become just compelling and memorable characters. I wish them the best on that front. Yeah. But in terms of what the corporate level stuff is doing, it's just classic Ubisoft.
Which is a publicly traded company, by the way.
Let me know in the comments below what your thoughts and opinions are on Assassin's Creed Shadows, what they've shown so far with the CGI trailer, and all of the information that's out there, what you think of the game.
Somebody says if we stop pirating games, will they lower the price of AAA of games?
The protagonists and the monetization practices surrounding the game. Share your thoughts in the comments below, and to be further updated on all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Young out.
I'm really glad that he made a video and he talked about all of the other problems that the game had, aside from just like the characters. Because I feel like nobody's really talking about that as much. And I think that's actually a much bigger problem. Especially because like there's literally 2 quests that are locked, that you're locked out of. There's the video right there. Give it a like. That was really good. And I also want to say, so with pirating absolutely at a certain point makes the developer have to increase their prices. Do I think that's happening with AAA games? Maybe it would take the game from being like $70 to like $67 or $68. Really? Like, that's probably the difference. There are not that many people that pirate games. I'm sorry, but like it's really not that common. Not $69? Yeah, maybe not. Price goes down. Price goes down. Games get pirated less. Yeah, they do, and that's that. Like making a decision on price points are hard to do. Piracy will be on the rise. I think that you're very delusional if you think that piracy is anything more than like a extremely niche thing that people do, especially with downloading video games. I think that very, very few people are pirating whole, full video games. It's super fringe. Like, yeah. Now, like on the internet, everybody thinks that everybody does it. But guys, again, let's go back to what we were saying before with like, whenever we're talking about it, we are not the normal people. Like, I bet inside of here, how many of you guys have... Actually, let me just do a... let me do a poll, and I want you guys to answer honestly. Have you pirated a game in the last year? Yes? No. Literally that simple. And I'm actually curious to see... And guys, please actually vote correctly. So we're going to look probably at like 30 to 35%, because this number seems to be going down. And also, if you look at this amount of people, 1,000 people pirated the game. Pirated a game. Like, that's how many votes there were. I can guarantee you that this chat will probably be one of the highest ratios that you could ever have. 1/3. Yes, exactly. And so, I thought it was way more. Yeah, there's only 1,200 people. 1,200 people pirating a game? Like, if you went to, for example, like a... there's clearly a bias. Yeah, a lot of people say this. And I bet half of the people that are typing this probably did not pirate things. You're wrong on the piracy stuff? No, I'm not. I think the truth is that the amount of time and effort that it takes an average person to pirate a game, this automatically locks out over 80% of people. And if you don't believe that, I want you to go and have a conversation with a normie about video games. Have a conversation with like somebody at Walmart about how they play games and what they're into. And I guarantee you that you will come to the same conclusion that I have. Because I don't think that people understand that you are so deep into the ecosystem of playing video games and being engaged with video games that you are just so much a minority. Like, we are the 1% here, guys. Maybe 5%. So whenever you really think about how many people actually know about piracy, are able to and also, like, many people are playing on console, too. So, like, it's very hard to pirate a game on console. So all of those people that are going to buy it on console, every single one of them is all not pirating games. So that's a huge factor as well. So we're only talking about really PC gamers and a very small niche of PC gamers. It's much more difficult. Yes, exactly. The idea that like piracy is making any sort of a real impact in the sales of a game, especially a big game like this that's probably going to have like de novo and a bunch of other shit on there, I'm sorry, guys, but it's probably not going to happen. I bet it probably will not even affect their bottom line by 5%. And also keep in mind that every single person who pirates the game is not a lost sale. Like, there's been plenty of albums and like, music CDs that I've downloaded that I would have never purchased for money. But if I could download them for free, then I would do it. So it's important to keep that in mind. So it's like, even if you take into account like 5% are pirating, that doesn't mean that you use 5% of the sales. You maybe lose like maybe 1% of the sales or 2% of the sales out of that 5%. So yeah, it's not worth the risk anymore. Well, it's just that people don't really want to deal with it. Yeah, you should see how many user torrent sites there are. There's a lot of them. There are, but there's infinitely more people that don't know about them and don't have any information or education on it. Yeah, thought about pirating? Yeah. What risk? Well, there's a lot of risks, right? So there's two big risks with pirating. So risk number one is that you're going to download something that has something malicious on your computer. And risk number two is that you could get in trouble for pirating. I understand that you might not think that it's a risk, but you have to, again, stop thinking about things from the way that you see them, because you're not thinking about yourself. You need to think about if you're somebody else, if you are a normie, if you don't have any frame of reference for this stuff at all. Like, of course, we know that it's way different. Of course we do. But they don't know that. That's because they're not experienced. They didn't use LimeLayer back in 2005. So yeah, Normies are scared of that shit. Yes, there are a lot of normies I've heard that don't even want to install add-ons onto WoW. Okay? That's the reason why I'm saying this. Like, that's kind of like my example that I'm using of like to prove this point in my head. So if you have people that aren't willing to install add-ons onto WoW, or that like weirds them out, imagine what it's going to be like whenever you have to install a whole other game from some random website that you don't understand. Yeah, as much chat delusional. Yeah, like you guys don't even understand how extreme the level of dedication to the like to doing this stuff is in here. And I get the way that like you guys, you know, I see like why people think this, but personally I really think that it's totally different. Really depends on a country too. For example, pirating AAA games in my country is common occurrence because $70 of a game costs 1/8 of average income. Yeah, I think you'll probably have more people that pirate, but also here's another issue, is that pirating this game, I bet probably isn't even going to be that big in like those countries. And you know why? It's because they don't have a computer to run the fucking game. Why are you going to pirate the game? You can't even play the game. And also, let's assume that logic is true. All of those people that couldn't afford it, that are pirating it, are not lost sales. They're really not. They couldn't have afforded it in the first place. So, again, whenever you're going back to the original question, which is, does pirating a video game increase its price? I want to go back to my conclusion and how this proves it, that the answer is no. It does not. In this situation. I'm sure there's other situations that are different, but in this situation, that's what I think. Consumer literacy, whenever it comes to stuff like pirating, is really scary. It is. And like also, that's another really great point that you actually bring up right here, is that young kids, a lot of young kids don't understand computers even half as well as we do. Like, I remember my mom, and I think this is going to be the case. Like, my mom, for example, she used to say, oh, well, you don't even know how to write a program. You can't even use a, what were some of the other things that she would think I wanted to do? You don't know what the BIOS is, right? Whereas, like, she knew that shit early on, of course. Because, like, you needed to know that back then. Yeah, you have to have, like, you know, command prompt, CMD, all that stuff. BIOS, what the fuck? Yeah, basic input-output system. It was a long time ago. You still use BIOS, though, now, right? If you're building a PC, you still have to boot to BIOS to make sure that, like, you're booting out of the right hard drive and everything. So it's not like BIOS is completely irrelevant. Like, I'm thinking system interrupt levels are pretty much totally irrelevant now. I hardly see anybody talk about CMD. Almost nobody uses that. Boot order, yeah, boot order doesn't really have... Yeah, I guess so. IRQs. Yeah, I still have a chart for that. And back in, like, whenever I was in high school, it's, like, tacked onto my wall. And, like, it's, like, literally fucking, like, ancient hieroglyphs now. Registry edits? Yeah, stuff like that. PowerShell is the new CMD? Yeah. Defragging. Yeah, defragging your PC. What is that? But, yeah, no, I do think that, like, while that's true, I do think that kids have actually become less... they're dumb. Yeah, they're dumb. That's about it.